Welcome to the Creative Coast's video podcasts, featuring Savannah's top thinkers, business people, innovators, and creators. With host B. Ray, director of the Creative Coast, and program director Sharice Bennett. What follows are interviews running on the Creative Coast website this month. You can check out the podcasts day or night at thecreativecoast.org/blog.
Brick wall after brick wall after brick wall.
Hello and welcome to the front porch. Today we are chatting it up with Erin Wessling. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you very much.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm very happy to see you as well.
So Erin, you are a fashion writer here in Savannah and you lead the Fashion Week.
Yes, well, it's Spanish Fashion Night, and basically it's our 4th annual run at this massive community event that essentially sees Broad Street completely shut down for the entire evening so that we can kind of create a very pedestrian-friendly entertainment shopping extravaganza. Yes. And that basically involves the entire sort of creative forces of the area.
Which is why I think of it as a week or beyond.
Yeah.
And it just seems to keep
it. Someday
it's
it
hard
will
to
be.
imagine it.
I don't think I have the tenacity yet to do more than one evening. I'll get there, but.
Wow. And so this was, when did it begin and why, like when in your heart did you say, this is what we need to do here in Savannah?
Well, the co-founder, and whom I like to call my work wife and soulmate, Bree Thomas, came to me in 2011. At the time, it was referred to as Fashion's Night Out, and it was done in New York by Vogue, but Vogue opened it up to cities across the nation and the world, and we got a wild hair and decided to be the smallest city to officially apply to Fashion's Night Out. And funny enough, Vogue was over the moon excited that, obviously they knew of, Savannah Arts, or SCAD, excuse me. And they were incredibly supportive. Great. And ever since then, they, for the first 2 years, they supported us and we created this event. And then last year, Condé Nast decided not to do Fashion's Night Out. So we requested that to the city of Savannah that we do it in all of its like-mindedness, and
great. And how many people will be a part of this?
Well, there's in and around 5,000 that attend every year. I would love it if we saw Broughton Street filled with about 10,000 or more. But for the fact that over the last 4 years, this has grown to be such a community event that it's not necessarily just fashion. It's art, it's design, it's music, it's everything that encompasses what makes Savannah so unique and such a draw for people. So we're just trying to illuminate and create this stage where the region, if not the world, looks and sees what we're capable of doing.
And tell me about you personally. When did you decide fashion is the thing that that's your passion?
I don't think you ever decide that. Okay. That's not something that really, I think you're just born. I mean, I can't paint, I can't really do math at all, but you find these areas in which you are completely passionate and, to the truest sense of the word, obsessed, and you just kind of make decisions in life revolving around passions. So it's just
And what kind of decisions were those for you? Where you lived, where you studied?
Oh, of course. I right out of college moved to New York. I sold my car for like $600 and just went and knew that New York was the place to be. And I got a wonderful real life education as far as how the business is done. And I worked in PR and marketing, and I still continue to do so. So real great life lessons. And then I've been blessed enough to travel all over the world and take in what other cultures define as fashion in both their religion as well as just what's kind of incorporated into their culture. So most decisions I've ever made, I've at least sucked it in as far as how to design my life and how others define theirs.
And what about Savannah as a place for you to continue this career? It's not New York, but yet you've been able to embrace it in an incredible way that maybe in some ways is better than New York for you.
Well, Savannah is incredibly unique, and I actually sometimes refer to it as the vortex of reality. I've traveled, like I said, I've traveled all over the world, and there's no other place in the world that is like Savannah. The creativity, the characters, the daily inspiration. I mean, you walk outside and you're completely inspired. And because I've, been able to be here for such a long time, I think me and others like me understand how to get Savannah on a larger platform. And this place is in my heart and in anybody's heart that ever comes to visit. So it's just our part in trying to, make Savannah the center point of the world. So the second New York, if you will.
There you go. Wow. Well, is there a special event or something in particular that you could share about Fashion Night Out? One example on stage, maybe?
Well, we have quite a few things that I'm actually quite proud about. We have joined forces in collaboration with ArtRise Savannah. They will be doing, which I'm not going to announce just quite yet because they're going to make their own, but I can say everything from live installations to music to, incorporating the community with art. They are, making all of Broughton Street essentially one large public art system. We have entertainment that Music File Productions, bent over backwards to get some incredible bands here, including Gems, Dent May, and Matrimony, which I'm personally most excited about for our VIP party. So the streets themselves with the sponsors and the collaborators will be just one large festivity, on top of which every store that participates has their own event inside. So it's all thematic, it's all, there's no reason that no matter your demographic, somebody won't be completely elated by what's going on, for all ages for that matter. So
fabulous.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very
Well,
exciting.
thank you so much for not only bringing it to Savannah, putting Savannah on the stage, and just being a super important part of the community. So happy that you're here, Erin.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hello and welcome to the Front Porch. Today we're chatting it up with Kane Lanahan of Savannah Stopover. Welcome, Kane.
Thanks. Nice to be here. Good to see you, Bee.
It's always good to see you. So I say Savannah Stopover, but my goodness, we have Revival Fest, you're helping out with Geekends, you're doing Savannah Fashion Night Out. So I don't even know where to begin.
Yes, we've had a busy year this past year. Our company is Music File Productions, and we're now putting on 2 festivals in Savannah, both of which you mentioned, as well as helping out a lot of other great community organizers, including the Creative Coast, with doing some of their events and helping to bring musical talent that fits with their objectives and get them here to Savannah.
And I know you know how to do that so well. You've get the essence of another organization and know exactly how to put in the right musician. How do you do that?
I think it just goes back to, my background was and training was in marketing and strategy, and I think it's just sort of applying those same principles to the world of entertainment and music and trying to understand what a client's objectives are and what they're trying to communicate and who their target audience is, and then taking that information and just applying it, to the world of music in terms of what would be a good fit.
And there doesn't seem to be a musician you don't know.
There's a few we don't know. We're always learning. It's sort of a daunting task to keep up with in this day and age because the internet has so fundamentally changed the entire industry. And we have a lot of little secret ways that we try and keep up with what's going on, whether it's looking at who's playing a club in Berlin or who's opening for a bigger band in touring across the U.S. So we try and keep our finger on the pulse.
So there's certain clubs around the world that you might follow, and there's certain bands where you'd say, oh, these people kind of find the
Yeah,
next.
I mean, I think as you go, as the more you do it, the more you're kind of like, there's certain trends that evolve, whether it's like certain music press people that you trust and you look who they've picked up, or record labels and you see who they recently signed, or clubs that tend to be sort of known for breaking artists and giving up and coming artists, early opportunities. So we look at, a combination of things.
Great. And tell me about Savannah, what lured you to Savannah, what it's like here versus Brooklyn. I know you've done so much for the community. We're thrilled to have you. How did we get so lucky?
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's actually, I feel like I'm the lucky one that I got to move here. I actually came here for family purposes. My mother lives here and my sister was living here at the time. And I was in New York for 15 years and came down and just fell in love with Savannah. You can't step off the plane and not be like, oh my God, I've landed in heaven. And the more time I spent here, the more I was like, I want to live here full time. And, finally 4 years ago, cut the umbilical cord with New York and took the plunge.
Great. And tell me about, you said in the way to do this is to bring some festivals. Is that?
That sort of just happened by circumstance. I had been in the music business and ran a music website, and we had done some events in Austin at South by Southwest. And I just felt like there were a lot of up-and-coming bands that didn't really know about Savannah yet, and a festival was sort of the easiest way to get a lot of them here at once and sort of introduce them to the city.
So many of them come back repeatedly throughout the year.
Yeah, that's our goal, is to get them when they're young and get them to fall in love with the town and want to play shows here every year.
And you certainly impacted just the tourism industry because you're bringing people here in concentrated efforts and a different class of people.
Yeah, I think it's changing. I mean, I think, bringing in a younger demographic from a tourist standpoint is good for Savannah, and I think bands go back and they talk about the city, and it would be great to have people within a driving distance of 5 hours of Savannah just saying, oh, I'm going to go to Savannah for the weekend because I know they're going to have some great music.
So what's next?
Oh my gosh, right around the corner we have Savannah's Fashion Night, which is September 4th, and we're bringing in 3 bands from around the South for that event, and we're super excited about it. Dent May from Oxford, Mississippi, and Gems from Washington, D.C., and Matrimony from Raleigh, so that's going to be a really fun event.
Awesome.
And then right on the heels of that, we have Revival Fest, September 20th, and then right after that, we go into Geek End in November. And the 5th anniversary of Savannah Stopover is next March, so we're a little busy.
There's not a lot of rest.
No, there's no rest.
Future.
There's no rest.
And what happens, give us a vision for 2, 3, 5 years out as Savannah as a musical town?
I think it already is a musical town. I mean, I think between the Jazz Festival, the Folk Festival, the Savannah Music Festival, what we're doing, it's already there. I think it's just going to continue to grow and build on that, and we'll have more and more people coming in, for our festivals as well as everybody else's.
And moving here and establishing schools here and really just making music
we're
part of the fabric.
We now have 3 record labels based in town, which is a really good thing from a business and industry standpoint, to have that kind of business side of the music industry here. We're seeing bands that want to relocate here. There's a band from Philly who's just recently moved here. So I think when that starts to happen, and we've got our own great talent coming up in Savannah that's just been phenomenal, and they're doing really well, and new bands wanting to come and move here, it's just sort of like the perfect trifecta.
Great. So do you have any advice for either musicians or young people trying to become musicians, or someone maybe trying to break into Savannah?
I think it's just a balancing act. I think a lot of the younger up-and-coming bands are trying to balance work and making money and still doing what they're passionate about, which is music, and that's a hard thing to do. They have to find the time to tour. The industry now is all about touring. You have to be on the road. That's how you make your money. That's how you grow your fan base. So I think it's just trying to find that balance of, probably doing work that helps pay the bills, that's more flexible and part-time, and allows you the luxury to go on the road and do some touring.
Wonderful. Well, Kane, it's always a delight to see
Always
you.
good to be here.
Thank you so much for
You're
being part of
welcome.
the front porch of the Creative Coast and, of course, Savannah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to the front porch. We are chatting it up with Catherine Liibert. Catherine, I'm so happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
So you work at the Creative Coast, I know, and I adore. And tell me, why did we get so lucky to have you here?
It's a long story. A year ago, I applied to have the opportunity to come to America for a year and to work here to get professional work experience. We were looking at different places around America, and my placement coordinator suggested the Creative Coast and Savannah. I thought in my mind, I think I've heard of Savannah. I'm not entirely sure where it is. But after the interview, I was completely sold. I was very excited. It was my first time to come to America, and I've been here 3 months now, so it's been pretty amazing.
We think so too. But you've been all sorts of other places. You may not have been to America, but you hadn't only stayed in Estonia either.
Yes, it's actually been 4 years since I actually lived in Estonia. I studied in Manchester in England. I did a study abroad program in Singapore. Then I worked in Indonesia for a while. After I graduated last summer, I lived in Poland for 6 months and worked for a university there. So America is the 6th country I'm living in, actually.
So what would you say to someone in one of those countries about Savannah? In what ways would you encourage them to come? What would you report back as to why it's good to be here?
I think Savannah is a really, really unique place. I just don't understand how it has happened, but it's this hub of really creative, innovative, really super active people. Maybe that's just because of the people I've met here through the Creative Coast, but that's the image I have in my mind. And at the same time, it has a lot of the southern charm, hospitality. It's beautiful. The streets are just breathtaking. Every morning I cycle to work, and I think how lucky I am to get to work and live in such a beautiful place. So, yeah.
Fabulous. And have you learned something?
I think I've learned a lot. Yeah, I think I have a very challenging job, but at the same time, some days I think I have the most important job in Savannah, helping Cherise Bennett make things happen. So I'm really lucky to help her with all the programs here, and you, of course, as well.
So one of the things that I think got your attention was Geekend.
Yes, so originally I was supposed to come here to learn about conferences, and I am, of course. I'm officially, I think, co-directing Geekend, which is pretty scary, but it's been really a lot of fun and really interesting. Definitely a learning curve as well. But because we are quite a small organization, I get to see everything that goes on, and I'm very excited for the Creators Foundry as well. So.
And what was it about Geekend that made you say, "Oh, I think I'll go around the world to be a part of this"?
Well, it seemed that and it's turned out to be true. It's not just like a regular conference. It's something fun, and it's something that people are excited to be a part of, rather than being forced to be part of by their employers or something. It's really a lot of different things, but it's also about content and not so much about the hype. And I'm just excited looking at our draft schedule right now. So, yeah.
And I've watched you see, I think, almost 100 applications and have the opportunity to say yes to some and yet not to everybody. What has that process been like for you?
Well, I really enjoyed working with our speaker committee. It's a group of very interesting and smart people. And getting to have a say in all of that as well has been very, very nice. And I've been handling the communication with the potential speakers as well. So, yeah, there's some really, really interesting people coming to Savannah, or who are from the area or even live in Savannah. So we're just excited to have them together in one room in November.
But you've learned more than just conferences, or you're being exposed to more than just conferences. What else has sparked your interest or engaged you?
Well, I'm really getting surprisingly a lot more into business and entrepreneurialism, I guess, entrepreneurship, and it's really exciting to just see how things work and learning more about how to cultivate all of that. So I think what the Creative Coast does for Savannah is just amazing, and it's a very unique organization for me. I haven't seen anything like that anywhere else in the world, and I see how excited people in Savannah get for everything that Savannah, the Creative Coast does and has done so far. So all of that has been very exciting to be a part of.
So at some point, we will have to say goodbye to you next May, and you will go back to Estonia, where you haven't been too much in the last few years, and you will work and bring, we hope, a piece of Savannah with you. What will that look like, do you think?
Well, it's still shaping up, but I hope that I will bring my experience in terms of work and also in terms of how things are organized here. Estonia is I would say, radically different place from America, but I think we have a lot to learn from you guys, and I hope to introduce some of that back home.
What's it like in Estonia? What's life like?
It's hard to say in just a couple words. I think Estonians generally are very close to nature, so it's something we cherish a lot, and people really make use of that a lot. But I think the biggest difference is in how people socialize and how people talk or even think, and just getting to see the different ways people do that around the world. And then going back to Estonia is sometimes difficult because I'm not so much like them in that sense anymore. So I'm a lot more outspoken. Estonians tend to be really keeping to themselves, really quiet, and if they don't have anything to say, then they don't say anything. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out when I go back.
And from a business standpoint, though, we have a lot that we can learn about entrepreneurship and technology from Estonians. Maybe you could summarize some of that.
Well, that is something that Estonians are really proud of, because only 23 years ago, it was only 24 years ago that we actually became an independent country. So we were part of the Soviet Union before that. And ever since then, because it's quite a small country and with a lot of innovative and smart people, it has made giant, really long steps in just 2 decades, and it's come a long way. We have a buzzing system of startups, and technology is something that's very highly regarded in Estonia. So we're proud to say that we developed Skype, Kazaa, some of the other bigger names, and it's something that got going quite early on, and wireless is almost everywhere, sometimes in the middle of a forest, which is ridiculous. And we do e-voting systems are really quite reliable and secure. So yeah, sometimes when I see how things are done here, then I feel like, how are we so much ahead?
Right.
But I know it's mainly because it's such a small country. Making changes is really easy and quick. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are so delighted to have you here, and in the moment, part of the Front Porch, but daily at the Creative Coast. Thank you very much, Catherine.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
That's it.
Hello and welcome to the Front Porch. Today we are chatting it up with Roger Moss. Welcome, Roger.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever it's supposed to be.
Wherever you're happy, huh?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends.
So, Roger, you are producer, director. You're director at the Savannah Children's Choir.
I am the co-founder and artistic director and chief development officer and all
One
of the
and
above.
same.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Tell me about the choir.
Savannah Children's Choir started 9 years ago.
Okay.
We're in our 9th season.
Great.
It started as a result of Cuffy Sullivan and I. After church, we were discussing the lack of music education for grade school kids in Savannah. And we are both the type of people that instead of sitting and kvetching, let's see what we can do. So we did it. We had our first summer camp. We had 53 kids at summer camp. 2 weeks after summer camp, we had 100 kids at our first audition, and we were on our way. Neither Cuffy nor I have degrees in music ed.
Wow.
We both came from the business world, which has worked out really well for our organization. We ended up meeting a young lady by the name of Emmy Williams, who has a master's in music education. She's amazing. She's also a triathlete, and she does Ironman, and I mean, she's got energy for days. And because we're 2nd through 8th grade choir, you need to have that energy. So our mission is uniting Savannah's children through the power of song. We're a diverse choir by design. This year we will have 101 children in our choir. Yeah. So we achieve our mission 4 ways. Our summer camp, which is training ground for music ed students from all over the country. We bring them down, we pay them, we give them wonderful places to live. It's very competitive to come down, so our kids get great training. We have our rehearsal and performance schedule. Then we have an artist in residence program where we bring in artists from all over the country. They come in, they work with our children, and then we take them into the public schools. Now, our artist in residence program is a little bit different in that Emmy Williams, our director of education, actually sets a curriculum. And she works with the artists, because a lot of artists are great performers. They may not necessarily be good educators. So she actually works with them. And they go in, and the kids have a curriculum, and it's wonderful. The last thing we do, and it's really, really important, we travel.
Yes.
We travel. We travel regionally, nationally, and internationally. Our premier choir has been to England, to Italy, and this summer we were in Prague and Vienna.
Great. And how many children are in the premier choir?
In the premier choir this past year, we took 25 kids to Europe.
And how was the cost covered for these?
Cost is covered. Remember I said that about me being the development guy?
Yeah, I love that.
So, our tuition for the year covers maybe 1/10 of our budget. But we have generous donors from family foundations to individuals to companies. And our children also do their own fundraising in very creative ways. We do not sell candy.
Okay.
We do not sell cookie dough. Or I guess the new thing is, they have the kneaded bread things. We don't do that. The kids sell ads in our program book. We do something really cool. I'm also in the Downtown Business Association, so some of our members, I have the kids set up to call on them.
Great.
And our kids learn salesmanship.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
so after 9 years, you must have a sense as to the ways in which being a part of the choir has impacted.
Oh, absolutely. 99% of our kids that have gone through our program have gone to college.
Congratulations.
We also have an academic requirement. All of our kids have to maintain B averages of their subjects to stay in choir, and we provide free tutoring for them.
Wonderful. And how many, when a child signs up for choir and makes it through the audition, how many hours a week are they?
They, depending on the choir that they're in, we have 3 choirs. Our youngest choir, the primary choir, meets for an hour. Our prep choir meets for an hour and a half, and our premier choir meets for 2 hours.
Per week?
Per week.
Got it.
On Mondays,
Isn't
right
that-
after school.
Wow. And the camp is one camp for 2 weeks?
It's 1 camp for 2 weeks. Parents love our camp. Our camp hours are 9 to 5.
Right.
So they literally drop their kids off in the morning and come pick them up after work. And what we do at camp, the children learn an entire concert in 2 weeks.
Great. And you've mentioned before the tie between music and math.
Absolutely. Critical thinking that's what music is. The way that we teach our children learn music theory, and music theory is just pure math. I always give the same example, and I love this example. There are 4 beats in a measure. An 8th note gets a half a beat. How many 8th notes equal 4? I have 2nd graders that can tell you that in 5 seconds.
Wow, great.
So, and I know there are people out there like, but yes. And I love doing that because invariably people are like, huh? So, yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So what's the future of the choir?
The future of the choir, we will celebrate our 10th anniversary in the 15-16 season. We are having a work commissioned of Gullah. Yeah, so our children sing a variety of music. When we were in Italy in 2012 for an international choral competition with adult choirs, mind you, our kids won a gold medal. And one of the things the judges said is, your children can sing anything authentically. Great. So our children can go from singing Palestrina to, singing gospel. And they do each authentically. They're challenged musically every year. There's always one piece that is, your goal is by the end of the year to know this song. And invariably, they learn it before the end of the year.
Wow.
Our children learn grit. We do not give up.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy you said that because I don't think I'm going to give up on asking you to sing something.
That is so unfair. You never play fair, though.
I'll get on my knees if I have to.
You don't have to. You don't have to. So, I was saying before that our children learn a variety of music, and one style of music that they learn each year are spirituals. And so this is a little bit of my favorite spiritual. When I am alone, when I am alone, when I am alone, give me Jesus, give me Jesus, give me Jesus, you may have all of this world, but give me Jesus.
Wow. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
I like your porch, by the way. Gotta add swings next time.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was fun.